Intel in decline. How China's silent strategy is redesigning the chip war. The American giant Intel, a symbol of Western technological dominance for decades, saw its market value plummet dramatically. And it wasn't due to corporate scandals, technical failures, or cyber attacks. The root cause of this sharp drop lies in a strategic and deliberately discreet shift in China's industrial policy. The country has been executing a robust plan to reduce its dependence on American semiconductors, and Intel, which derived nearly a third of its revenue from the Chinese market in 2024, was hit directly. This shift was implemented through a framework known as xinchuang, a term referring to the replacement of foreign technologies with domestic technological solutions, especially in critical Chinese government systems. Without any formal announcement, American chips began to be quietly excluded from strategic sectors such as energy, telecommunications, finance, defense, and infrastructure. Companies like AMD, Micron, and especially Intel, saw their access to the world's largest semiconductor consumer market restricted almost overnight. Beijing's decision was not impulsive. It is part of a long-term national strategy to achieve technological autonomy, and more than that, to break free from vulnerabilities caused by dependence on foreign suppliers, especially from the United States. Intel's fall, a story of slowness and resistance to change. Intel's downward trajectory did not begin with the Chinese offensive. The company's decline had been building for over a decade. In 2011, Intel comfortably dominated about 80% of the global market for personal computer (PC) processors. It was the undisputed leader. However, by the end of 2024, that share had shrunk to 57%, the result of a combination of delays in innovation, poor strategic management, and underestimation of the competition. While Intel struggled to modernize its manufacturing processes and delivered delayed chips, competitors like AMD seized the moment to offer more competitive products in terms of performance and cost. Additionally, major corporate clients such as Apple, Amazon, and Google began developing their own custom chips, reducing their reliance on traditional suppliers and directly affecting Intel's revenue. This fragmentation of the market generated pressure that intensified with China's new geopolitical stance. When Beijing closed its doors to American chips in sensitive sectors, Intel, which had earned billions in the Asian country, saw the ground collapse beneath its feet. China's rise, national technology, global ambition. While Intel and other American giants faced losses, China made a surprising leap in the technology race. One of the most emblematic milestones of this progress was the launch of the Huawei Mate 70 Pro in mid-2024. The smartphone was equipped with a 7-nanometer Kirin chip, developed by HiSilicon and manufactured by SMIC, China's largest chip foundry. What drew attention was that the chip was produced using DUV, deep ultraviolet lithography technology, considered outdated compared to EUV, extreme ultraviolet lithography used by companies like TSMC and Samsung. However, Chinese engineers managed to adapt and refine the technology, achieving results that Western experts deemed unfeasible. In just 6 months, more than 45 million units of the Mate 70 Pro were sold. Riding on that success, Huawei expanded into the laptop market, and SMIC's revenue jumped 47% compared to the previous year, driven by growing demand for domestic semiconductors. This was not an isolated move. It is part of China's ambitious industrial policy called Clean Silicon, which aims to completely eliminate the use of American-made semiconductors in critical infrastructure, such as energy, transport, defense, and communications, by the year 2027. By early 2025, 75% of China's strategic sectors had already begun transitioning to domestic chips. To ensure the success of the initiative, the Chinese government allocated a massive fund of 660 billion yuan, around $91 billion, exclusively to accelerate local semiconductor development and production. The American response: billion-dollar subsidies and delayed promises. Faced with China's offensive, the United States was forced to react. In an effort to contain China's growing technological influence, Washington passed the so-called Chips and Science Act, promising $52.7 billion in incentives to strengthen the domestic semiconductor supply chain. Intel was one of the main beneficiaries. It received $8.5 billion in direct subsidies and an additional $11 billion in subsidized loans, with a commitment to build a megafactory in the state of Ohio. The plant was designed to be one of the largest and most advanced chip manufacturing complexes in the world. However, the plans encountered several obstacles. Regulatory issues, a shortage of skilled labor, and technical challenges pushed the project's completion to the end of 2026. Meanwhile, Asian rivals like TSMC, Taiwan, and Samsung South Korea continue to advance, launching 3 and even 2-nanometer chips, further consolidating their leadership. Intel, for its part, is still struggling to complete its 18A lithography process, which promises to compete with the world's most advanced technologies but remains unfinished. The lack of concrete results and successive delays have eroded investor confidence. The financial impact and the blow to confidence. The effect on the financial market was immediate. In 2024, Intel's stock performance lagged 31% behind the PHLX Semiconductor Index, one of the sector's main benchmarks. In January 2025, the company announced the layoff of 1,250 employees, aiming to cut costs and restructure its workforce in light of the new reality. Moreover, original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, like Dell and HP began reviewing their contracts with Intel. The higher cost of chips, coupled with supply instability, forced these partners to consider alternatives, including AMD, Qualcomm, and even custom ARM-based models. As a result, laptop prices increased between 12% and 17%, affecting end consumers and squeezing manufacturers' profit margins. The supply chain, once highly integrated and predictable, became a minefield filled with uncertainty. A silent war that is redefining the future. What once seemed like an abstract battle over patents and technology has become a silent geopolitical war, with real effects on the global economy. The chip race has turned into a matter of national sovereignty. And China, by building a self-sufficient technological ecosystem, is shaping a new global paradigm. This radical shift is inspiring other emerging nations to follow suit. Countries like India, Vietnam, Turkey, and even Brazil are beginning to draft strategies to reduce their dependence on Western or Chinese suppliers, aiming to build local hubs of production and innovation. More than producing smaller and faster chips, the true race now is for resilience, adaptive agility, and strategic control. In a world where supply chains are vulnerable to conflict, pandemics, and economic sanctions, technological independence has become as powerful a weapon as any military arsenal. The end of the Intel era? It's premature to declare the end of Intel, but the signs are clear. The company has lost the leadership it maintained for decades. A combination of more efficient competition, a structural geopolitical shift, and a delayed response to market evolution has placed Intel in a defensive position. Its future will depend on its ability to innovate quickly, deliver tangible results, and regain the confidence of the market and its partners. The megafactory in Ohio could be a turning point, or just another unfulfilled promise if deadlines continue to be missed. Meanwhile, China continues to move forward, not with noise, but with strategic precision. The game has changed, and the new battleground is no longer just silicon, it's control over the next industrial revolution. Whoever dominates semiconductors will dominate the future.